Hey gang, it's Brennan Lee Mulligan telling you that you're about to watch the first episode of Dimension 20, Mice and Murder, a murder mystery season featuring an all-animal cast of characters. It's a 10-episode season featuring Ali Beardsley, Raphael Chestang, Katie Maravich, Grant O'Brien, Sam Reich, and Rekha Shankar. To watch the rest of it, the Adventuring Party talkbacks, and every other season of Dimension 20, just sign up for Dropout using the link in the description. But for now, enjoy the episode, Sylvan Sleuths. And welcome back to another thrilling season of Dimension 20, coming to you with a brand new side quest, Mice and Murder. I'm your humble Dungeon Master, Brennan Lee Mulligan. With me as always, actually, for the first time, are Sylvan Sleuths. Say hi, Sylvan Sleuths.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, wonderful. Going around the Zoom call, we have Katie Maravich, Ali Beardsley, Sam Reich, Raphael Chestang, Rekha Shankar, and Grant O'Brien.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me.
The only one who spoke.
Yeah.
We all just
I don't know
silently
why
went.
none of you took your moment. Take your moment.
Take your moment. I'd like to redo my moment.
That is the tagline of this season already.
Well, with our wonderful gang of adventurers gathered here for a brand new side quest, I invite all of you to imagine gathering storm clouds, dark, over the countryside of a land both familiar and fantastical. For indeed, I invite you all to come now to a land that some of you might be familiar with. We arrive in a dark and stormy night in the countryside, 90 minutes northwest by train of London, in the country of England, in a little village called Tufting Meadows. But perhaps Tufting Meadows is a little bit different than one might imagine, for we see the statue of King Charles there in the village square of Tufting Meadows, a short walk along cobblestones, slick with rainwater from the train station. King Charles looks, as we all know King Charles to look, dapper boots, a sort of fencing saber at his side, and of course, his head with a long muzzle, a wet nose, long fluffy ears, because of course we all know that King Charles was himself a Cavalier Spaniel. For indeed, we are here in the merry English countryside with all of the lovely woodland animals that populate all parts of England and indeed the world. For this is a tale of mice and murder. Storm clouds rumble on the horizon. And though the storm has not yet fully broken here above the village, it is coming. Slight drizzle of rain slicks the pavement, the cobblestones reflecting the dim gaslight of lamps here in the village square. A long shadow stretches up the country lane, and the sound of pebbles and dirt scraping against metal as a long shovel is dragged upon the shadowy road. A figure stooped and hunched over, but still frighteningly tall, and a top hat perched upon the brow of a sneering weasel. Katie Maravich, could you please describe and name your character for us?
Hello. I'm Gangie Green. I'm a weasel. I was born in London. something funny that happened is my parents died when I was just a little lad.
Hysterical.
I got raised in orphanages until I got kicked out at 16 for starting fires and thieving. Now, I've spent most of my life in the criminal world, and I'm quite good at it. And here I am.
Gangie is stumping along this country lane, headed towards the graveyard. Behind the old Anglican chapel, Our Lady of Prayerful Paws. Gangie, you are stumping along. In your coat pocket, you have a name on a piece of paper. This name is on a gravestone. And unlike some of the graves you have dug in your time here, this grave already has a body inside it. You've been told to come here and secure something and secretly move it back to Loam Hall. As you approach Gangie, you move through the graveyard. Go ahead and give me a stealth check if you would be so kind. And with the gathering storm clouds, go ahead and do it with advantage. So you can roll twice and take the better of the two rolls.
22.
Ooh! Also worth mentioning that Gangie, as a third level thief subclass rogue, doesn't take half movement for climbing. So Gangie gets to the wrought iron gate and stone walls around the graveyard of Our Lady of Prayerful Paws, and in a little bolt of dark, weaselly, moving serpentine over the top of the wall, Gangie is within the graveyard, shovel at the ready. You
Like
take
how they
your-
say that rats can like kind of flatten their bones.
Yeah.
Yes, cartilaginous.
Weasels can also.
Yes, 100%. What Gangie sees as you go into the graveyard, you search around, moving throughout. Gangie, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
29.
Was that a nat 20?
29.
Yes, but
But what did you roll on
yeah.
the dice?
But
I clicked the button on the
yeah.
It was something plus 9.
so 20.
That's a nat 20! That's a nat 20!
20 plus
So
9 is
20.
25.
What could it have been?
It must have been in 20.
Can I say it really quick off the bat? I'm so glad we're shooting remotely so that I don't have to do dice math. My computer will do it for me. I'm thrilled.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Gangie, you peer through the dark and see a small candle lit inside of the rectory, the small abode of this Anglican priest, the vicar of Tufting Meadows. It is well past the witching hour. With that nat 20, not only do you see that, you see a weeping widow, Catherine McCabbage, a small little mouse dressed in black. And with a hastily made cup of tea in his hands, we see the vicar of Tufting Meadows. Raph, could you please describe your character for us and introduce him?
Me? Well, of course. My name is Vicar Ian Prescott. If you'll excuse me, there's so many people here. I'm not used to I have a very small parish. I just have to gather my thoughts. I started out as a young priestling. That's not the actual word for it, but for you to understand what I mean, you understand what I mean when I say priestling. When I was a little fellow, my father was in the ministry, my father before that, and they passed on a share of their flair, but maybe not so much. I didn't have as much of a helping of of the eloquence that they had. The good Lord did not bless me so much with that, but what he did bless me with, I have not found yet, but I certainly have it, and I'm able to do it here in Tufting Meadows. After I finished seminary, there were many places that I wanted to go, but none so much that the Lord deemed that they would want me. But here is where, when God closes every door but one, you go through the one that is open. And that is what I did. I'm an owl, by the way. I'm a full owl.
Incredible. Dressed in stately, if hastily donned, clerical garments. Vicar, you were awakened from your slumber. Although I will say you are a little bit of a night owl.
Oh, brother.
Woo! It's just getting started, folks.
That was so good.
The widow McCabbage accepts the cup of tea, takes, she's a tiny little mouse, which, the scale of the animal folk here, as in everywhere else in the world, is sort of, mice are, about half the size of the largest animals, which are things like badgers and stuff like that. So there is a size differential, but it's a greatly accordioned in one. Like, I think in real life, a badger is 100 times the size of a mouse. But this small little sort of halfling-sized mouse woman looks up, big sort of globes of tears hanging at the corner of her eyes. Right, and you're very kind, sir. Thank you, Vicar. I appreciate the kindness you're showing me. And I am awful sorry to come wake you up in the middle of the night. I keep feeling like I hear his voice outside the window. And is there anything in the good book, Vicar, that says that those that have passed on can come back in some way? Or can visit those of us? Do you think my dear Connor might... I don't know.
Well,
Do you think he might be trying to reach out?
oh, sure. The Lord speak. He's with the Lord, and the Lord can speak through the wind, or through fire, or through me. Perhaps speaking through me right now. Do you feel anything?
Go ahead and make a persuasion check with disadvantage, if you'd be so kind.
Wait, persuasion.
Rock's
All right,
first roll is going to be
persuasion.
with disadvantage.
Disadvantage, yeah.
I love that the vicar is like, do you think he's speaking through me?
Do you feel it? So I just click on it, just roll it?
Yeah, and you're
Or
gonna
is
roll
it
twice
different?
and take the worst of the two rolls.
Oh, got it. All right, so first one's a 12. 7.
Ooh.
So with a 7 persuasion check, you're just a little bit flustered and you sort of, it's not ideal circumstances for you. You see that Catherine McCabbage looks up and says, at this present moment, is the Lord speaking through you? I don't, Oh,
please.
now that you
Please.
mention it,
Please.
he absolutely is, Vicar. Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. You seem very shocked, and maybe this was a mistake. I'm sorry to come and wake you in the middle of the night, Vicar. You seem... I just meant to ask, over the past summer, I know that you were saying that the reason Connor died in the mill is because of negligence and it was unsafe and that these mills are a plague on the land. But, they did have that gentleman detective from London up here over the summer, and some were saying it was murder. And if I keep hearing his voice on the wind. Maybe there was something wicked at work, and he's trying to tell us something from the beyond. Do you think if it were just an accident, even an accident caused by some negligence on the part of the good squire and the mill owners, do you think that would be enough for him to speak to me on the wind like that? Or is it proof that something truly vile did happen?
Oh, something did happen, and we will get to the bottom of it. You, me, and with the good Lord's help. Certainly he could be talking to you, sir. And I know for a fact that something horrible happened. As I spoke about and have written about and been published. Have you seen my articles?
Vicar,
I'm sorry.
I've seen the articles. They are about my dead husband. I certainly read them. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, in there, you will find that we are in a wicked time altogether, and I see more wickedness on the way if we continue down this path. If we do not turn back to making this land go back to its origins and reject the ways of the big cities and these metropolis and the world, the rest of the world.
Well, that's very comforting, Father. Give me a perception check, Raph.
Don't speak at my funeral, Raph.
Yes, please.
17, baby.
Lightning crashes, and for the briefest moment, the graveyard is lit with a flash of lightning. And you see a grim figure in the graveyard. Woo! In a moment, it is dark again. The rain picks up, but you think there may be a trespasser on the hallowed grounds of Our Lady of Prayerful Paws.
Ooh, I think maybe we should just wait this out, see what happens. Stay here.
Wait, what out, Father?
There's someone lurking about. I don't want to alarm you, but there are wicked things happening. And as I said,
A piercing scream. Father, there must be someone out there. It was right. The Squire Badger was right, and that's that detective from London. There's been something there. The murderer, he's come back. He killed my husband, and now he's come back for the rest of my family. Father, please go out and find him. Find the man who's done this.
my head spins around. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. You just stay here. You stay here. I have the blood of Christ around me at all times. Psalm something. Okay, I'm going out. To investigate.
You go and get ready. Gangie, back to you in the graveyard. You find your grave and can definitely make short work of it. This grave is going to be very easy work for you because you yourself dug it about like a month ago. You are deep in there. Go ahead actually and give me an athletics check with advantage.
19.
19? Hell yeah. You dig through, and again, in this instance, you are fulfilling your function as a grave robber, but this was also something that you took care of in your official capacity as the grave digger. You get to the casket, leave the casket out. For Gangie's work, do you usually take the casket with you, or do you just tie up the body and heft it over a shoulder?
Tie up the body, put it over his shoulder, and I'll deal with the rest later.
You have the body. This is, it was embalmed, but it's been underground for a month, so there's still the smell of partial rot here. The body is still somewhat intact. You take the body, dressed in a black wool suit is the body of an elderly goat, curling horns coming back. And you heft the body over his shoulder, as you turn around to begin to slink through the graveyard, Gangie, go ahead and give me a stealth check, and I'm going to ask for a perception check for Raph.
15.
15?
Ooh, 22.
Gangie, you slink through the graveyard, shovel, body. The body is wrapped up in tarp and rope. Father Prescott, you emerge with a lantern from the rectory, come out, and boom, the light goes up, and Gangie, you are framed in light, and turn to see Vicar Prescott here.
Hello.
Ooh, what are you doing here? You scared the living daylights out of me.
Mind your own business.
I'll actually ask here for an intimidate check from Gangie. Roll intimidate, but go ahead actually and add 5 to whatever you roll. Because I'm going to say that you are menacing enough that instead of using your charisma, you're going to use your strength modifier here.
18.
18. That's an 18 intimidate. So Raph, up to you to determine that. You see Gangie is the official gravedigger. So like does sometimes have business here in the graveyard.
Right.
But it's up to you how Vicar Ian responds.
I know that look. I think I will leave you. I would just assume that you're working late and very dedicated to your job, sir.
That's right.
Yes, that is right.
That's right.
That is correct.
Gangie slinks away with this huge parcel over his shoulder, over the graveyard wall, and gone into the night. And you see that the widow McCabbage comes out and says, "Father, was everything all right? I heard you speaking to someone out here."
Yes, everything is fine. Gangie is just putting in some extra hours for free. It's honestly, we should be thanking him for the amount of work and dedication that he is showing. You can't just have dead bodies all sprawling around at all corners of the night. I guess people can die at any time and need to be buried immediately. Why don't we put on some tea? We can put on some tea and chat more about your husband and these.
You see the widow kind of looks up at you and furrows her brows, says, "Something about that weasel gives me the heebie-jeebies, Father, and I don't mind saying it even to a man of the cloth." She ties a shawl around her neck and looks up at you and says, I trust your wisdom, Vicar, and sorry to bother in the middle of the night. I know my problems are my own. Shouldn't have come to disturb you." And she looks up at you. Give me an insight check.
7.
7. It's raining. You don't see much of a look, but you do hear her parting words as she gets ready to walk back to her home, where her mother is currently staying to help take care of her now fatherless children. She looks up at you and says, I understand, Father, that the Lord works through us in his own way. But I think every once in a while, it might do us well to do a little bit of work on the Lord's behalf, even when he's not working through us. And I'll wish you a good night, Vicar. And she walks off into the ring.
Be careful.
We move away from the flustered vicar's rectory. The first time in some time that one of your parishioners has seen fit to lean on you in this way. And we move up over the dark graveyard to the country lane, where the stooped figure of Gangie Green returns to the massive manor, not on the hill, but in the hill, to the top of Loam Hall, and to business of his own. We cut the following day to a wonderful morning in 22B Hampstead Street in the city of London. Wonderful chamber music is playing, and we see two figures in an apartment, one of whom has just made arrangements to take a motor car out to the countryside, and the other of which is reading a newspaper. Rain drizzles, as it often does in London, against the windows. Music is playing, but I will allow the music to be described and the manner of this dwelling to be described by the inhabitants. The first inhabitant we see is one who has just gotten off of the brand new installed telephone to make way for this motor carriage. We see a tall figure, and they are standing there just near the telephone. Allie, could you please describe your character for us?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Lars. I am a Doberman pinscher. A lot of people call me Sergeant, and that was because, I was a sergeant. I've a bit of a military background, sue me. But just about me. I am very strong. And, what else? I guess looking at Lars, they're one of those dogs that has very human muscles. Mm-hmm. So it's just they're an extremely muscular dog with just a thin coat of jet black fur, but they're wearing a bright pink tuxedo.
Yeah.
Is that too much of a curveball?
Perfect.
Perfect.
We see this enormous military background body person for the main the sort of long time inhabitant. It is the Hunter of Hampstead Street himself, the gentleman detective, renowned across all of Great Britain and in fact the world, with a newspaper in his hands. We move over. And Grant, could you describe the dwelling we're in a little bit? Some of the accoutrement we would see on the wall, and also the music that's currently playing?
Yes. So the place is very cluttered with old photographs of the exploits of one detective, Sylvester Cross, the most famed detective in all England. At the moment, my body man is playing some music, and I've insisted that it be brass because I do believe that the Americans have perfected the art of the brass band. I do enjoy how rousing it is in the morning. Though I say, Lars, I do wish you would have gotten rid of that contraption. You know, it spies on you.
Which one?
Your telephonics.
Oh, I heard it was sending my data right to somebody.
what's his name? The Eel Musk, who owns the telephone company, constantly listening to us. I know that he is.
I can't fucking believe it. Allie has done so many of these. This is fucking record time for an anachronistic pop culture reference. We are 45 seconds max.
It was not me this time. It was not me. I start doing pull-ups on like the windowsill.
Pull-ups in a full tuxedo.
My exercise outfit.
And I take a look at the wood around the window and see it begin to creak and think to myself, well, there they go again.
We see, as we move across the room, exploits, musical instruments, a wonderful small sort of gentleman's bar. There's a decanter of brandy, some crystal glasses.
I dare say it's not as small as one might think for polite company.
And we look at a newspaper, the front article, the front page headline reads as follows: Scotland Yard closes McCabbage case. Sylvester Cross leaves his first and perhaps last caper uncracked. In the body of the text, it reads, the unfortunate death of Connor McCabbage at the Tufting Meadows textile mill has been ruled an accident, leaving accusations of negligence on the part of William Brockhollow ringing soundly in the ears of London high society. Vicar Ian Prescott's words of admonishment from the pulpit of Our Lady of Prayerful Pause have left questions of cut corners on the minds of all those sympathetic to the McCabbage family. Adamant on the involvement of foul play rather than factorial non-compliance, Squire William Thornwall Brockhollow hired the hunter of Hampstead Street, none other than Sylvester Cross, whose daring exploits have splashed the covers of our pages since the Cotton Bottom Caper and his first run-in with criminal mastermind and arch-rival, the late Fletcher Cottonbottom, those many years ago. Sly Sylvester took the case, indicating to the world that indeed foul play was afoot, and yet even with the help of trusted companion Sergeant Laws Vanderchomp, it seems for the first time the hunt has gotten ahead of the fox.
I say they've used a very handsome photograph, haven't they?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I look gorgeous.
And speaking of a handsome photograph, Grant, could you describe your character for us?
Yes. Sylvester is a bit of a fop. Sylvester is in his mid-50s, very handsome, but perhaps just past his prime. Sylvester walks with a walking stick because of an accident. His arch nemesis, one Fletcher Cottonbottom, is the son of Sylvester's former employer, Lord Ignatius Cottonbottom, now late. Sylvester began his career as the personal physician to Lord Ignatius Cottonbottom, who was the head of the British Museum. Ignatius Cottonbottom faked his own death by using science. All England thought that he had died and risen from the dead at the hands of the occult, but no. It was tinctures from America that made him appear dead to all but the keenest of eyes. Fletcher Cottonbottom, his son, was in line to be the recipient of a great sum of insurance payment. If only that plan hadn't been interrupted by yours truly.
And yours truly.
Now, all these many years later, I have, I dare say, seen better days. I have just... I'll keep going until you can.
Cool, that's great. Perfect.
Sure.
You see, yes, Sylvester.
Oh, and what do I look like? Describe my character? Sure, yes. Well, I'm a fox and a bit of a fop. I always dress to the nines, never without a waistcoat, always with brightly colored dress. I enjoy being seen and I enjoy seeing others.
Incredible. Sylvester, you have definitely read things critical of yourself in the newspaper before, but they were always attributed, like, you have had plenty of negative press from Scotland Yard and the constabulary, who you are constantly showing up and who are themselves a bunch of corrupt and crooked and decadent people that wouldn't know how to solve a mystery if it bit them in their tailed rumps. But this is in the editorial voice of the paper itself. You have many times not taken cases. In fact, in the bulk of your career, you probably turned down 99% of cases just from being boring. And from, you get dealt every day, it's like 20, 30 letters of like, please take this. You're usually able to solve the case just by reading the letter, because there'll be a thread in the envelope or a smidge of ash, and you're like, well, here's what happened. But you're not even getting that many letters anymore. And this is the first case you've taken that you didn't crack. Resting sort of near your coat and umbrella and your top hat and near the door. And Lars, go ahead and give me an insight check with advantage.
Definitely. Ooh, that's only a 10.
Cool. You're just doing pull-ups, so you do not notice the look of melancholy that crosses your companion's face.
We look so good in that photo.
You're too kind.
Sylvester, you instead look at another piece of writing from the person who hired you. In the hand of Squire William Thornwall Brockhollow, you see a note penned to you quickly from his desk up in Loam Hall in the village of Tufting Meadows, saying, "To the Honorable Mr. Sylvester Cross, I state to you formally that it does not give me great pleasure to be the first client of the great detective of Hampstead Street to not see my mystery resolved, and to think that I also have paid perhaps the highest price for this dead end of sorts leaves me to believe that I have been taken for somewhat of a ride. However, your contract being very clear that no results are guaranteed, I will not be so ungentlemanly as to ask for a refund of any kind. Instead, might we consider it a part of your estimable sum to make a jovial and glad-handed appearance at the celebration of my 60th birthday at Loam Hall that my daughter and son are throwing in my honor. Your presence there in the presence of the press would do much to alleviate all of the negative attention which your hiring, as I think you are well aware, was intended to alleviate in the first place. Do the right thing, Mr. Cross. Sincerely, the Squire William Thornwall Brockhollow.
Lars, when you check my mail, do you not check it for things that I might take as an insult to me?
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I've been invited by Big Tooth to go up and be a part of a dog and pony show.
What?
He wants to parade me around, rub my nose in my humiliation. Well,
Lars, my dear friend, you sadly did find this and already RSVP'd yes to it. That's why you got the motor carriage.
I feel like my favorite part about dogs is I feel like their tail is like always the dead giveaway. So I think my tail is just so deeply between my legs. I'm just like, well, now maybe Sylvie would now be a good time to tell you that we leave in 45 minutes or so. Listen, hey, you're thinking about this all wrong. This could be a time for clues.
well, I do like a time for clues. All right, get about steaming 4 suits for me. We'll depart at once, but I'll tell you this. I'll be stopping by the bank because I intend to give that big tooth bastard every bit of bones that he paid me back. He'll be receiving a full refund if he thinks that he can simply rub my nose in my failure.
We don't need his money. And I get into a really hot shower and cover myself in really hot water, and then I roll over all of his suits to steam them. We don't need his money.
I mean, the suits are immaculate. Lars, you're like rippling pecs and your like enormous wingspan. It's like your traps and delts. You're just hurling these huge trunk cases. The car, you're going for one night, and the car has like 4 cases of like haberdashery and wardrobe on the back.
Make sure to pack the valise as well.
You are loaded
Where I
up.
keep my hats.
Lars, you have your, get a chance to, in your pink tuxedo, you have your motorist goggles and gloves, looking extremely the part. Sylvester, you hop into the back and you take off, and we see a little motor carriage trundling up out of the city streets of London and then through the countryside, dirt roads, up towards Tufting Meadows. But we also see not only country roads, but country rails as well. And through the drizzling rain on this extremely light gray morning with the drizzle falling over the green English countryside, we see willows, deep brown rivers with the rain swell churning up the mud from the riverbed. So underneath the light gray sky, we see the green of the English countryside, the old farm walls, sheeps huddled together, and we see a locomotive steaming, cutting directly through the countryside, a long tail of white smoke turning with its heat into vapor as well. So this thick tail. Near the front of the train, in a first-class car, not only with beds that won't be necessary for the very short ride, but replete with mini bar and a lovely feast with actual dining car service brought up from the rear of the train. We see 3 individuals living life quite well in this high-class car. The first of them I'll go ahead and describe, which is a nervous-looking armadillo. An armadillo, that's true. An American here abroad in England, nervously filing some papers, shuffling them into a brief. And we see 2 other individuals as well. Sam, would you go ahead and describe who we see at the head of the table?
Yes, I can. So I'm playing Buckster $Boyd. Buckster is a javelina, otherwise known as a skunk pig. He is a Texas oil baron, kind of like a small boar or a miniature boar. I sort of imagine him as like the 1900s version of a lumbersexual. He like looks the part of a cowboy, but like has never actually done any manual labor in his life. He wears a cream-colored suit and a cream-colored cowboy hat that are both a little too clean, kind of throwing off his cowboy image. And his prized possession that he holds dearly in his hand more often than not is a gold pocket watch that was given to him by his late father, in which is inscribed the words, "Time is money, here's both."
Ooh,
Yo.
Mr. Boyd.
Yo.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
Cool.
Holy shit.
Holy shit!
Whoa.
Holy fucking shit.
Holy shit, dude.
Mere minutes away from arriving at the Tufting Meadows station, do we see What do we see Buckster doing at the table as we are sort of about a few minutes away from pulling into Tufting Meadows?
Buckster is like housing his third sandwich. Buckster feels like if there's food around, he's got to taste everything at least thrice. And kind of every once in a while glancing over the armadillo's shoulder to see what's going on in the world of his finances, doing a little bit of backseat driving.
Incredible. And seated across from both of these gentlemen by the window, looking at the English countryside roll past, Reka, who do we see as the final inhabitant of this car?
You see an absolutely stunning raccoon, round as a ball, a gorgeous dress, sun hat covered with trash, artfully placed to look like flowers, sipping a brandy daisy, her favorite cocktail and her namesake. This is Daisy Dumpster. She is originally Daisy Dumpster, daughter of Rusty and Tuna Dumpster of the South Carolina Dumpsters. But she made her way out of her poor hometown, and she's rebranded herself. She is now a woman of the world, Daisy Dumpster. She is sipping her cocktail and looking out the window. Buckster, and you're positive we don't have a guest list for this event?
Well, I do declare, Miss Dumpster, I do declare. I haven't seen anything of the kind. For all I know, we could be hobnobbing with the scum of society.
Oh, it's England. Of course it's gonna be scummy.
Scummy as the weather, my dear. Scummy as the weather.
Yeah, Daisy looks sort of wistfully out the window. We're kind of unsure what she's thinking about or why she's asked about this guest list. But England is definitely not her cup of brandy.
You see that Armand Armadillo looks up. This is Buckster's chief financial employee, his accountant, looks up and says,
Well, looking over the spreadsheets here, boss, I got to say that I don't quite reckon that the expense for a sleeper car on a 45-minute ride outside, we probably could have ridden in coach and saved a big old heap and help of money.
Is that a fact, Army? Is that a fact? Let me have a quick look at that. And I
Take the piece of paper from him that he's been doing his math on, and I wipe my sloppy maw with it.
Armand, Armand, let me tell you, we're gonna make up more than enough when we get off this train. So don't you worry your crazy little body.
That's right, Army. You gotta spend money to make money. That's accounting 101.
I understand, but we're spending money all over the place. So sometimes the making money has to come back, and also, my job, it doesn't let me make money. I'm just trying to find places for us to save and everything.
You're doing your job, Army, which is to think about the money going out. Now let Daisy and I, 2 against 1, think about the money that's coming in. By the end of this weekend, you ain't gonna have to worry your little heart.
Well, if you say so, boss. You're the brains, after all. I'm just the spreadsheet. Well,
yes, you are, Armand.
That's right.
Yes, I'm bad. I'm bad.
That's right. You are a little tiny piece of dirt.
I'm a tiny old piece of dirt, and I'm gonna do what tiny pieces of dirt do, and I'm gonna roll on down the road.
and you see that he just turns into a ball and rolls down the train to go to the bathroom.
Thank God. I was worried if I touched him, my arm would fall off. You know armadillos carry leprosy. It's disgusting.
Train pulls into the station. You see that Armand carries all of your guys' bags as you guys depart the train. And you guys see this in a trench coat, a little flat cap and a scarf, goggles on the forehead, is a frog who has been sent here from Loam Hall to the village train station. I was, "Oh there, Governor! Welcome to Tufton Meadows. If it isn't the estimable Baxter $sign Boyd. Maybe we'll call you Baxter £sign Boyd. I'm Squire Badger's chauffeur, Templeton Pad Hop."
Mr. Hop, it is a pleasure. Will you be hopping us over to our destination today?
Of course, a very important guest of the Squire come and get picked up in the Squire's personal motor carriage, personally they does. And I'll be happy to give you a little tour of our lovely town here if you wish.
We would love that. We just need to wait for our accountant to roll back to the front from the bathroom.
See, Armin
Should
comes
be
in and
any
says,
minute now.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm back. I just had to go take a little bit of a leak. It's hard to squeeze into the carriage bathroom because my shell's so big, and I am very, very sorry.
You are
gets all
rather
the-
big and awkward for a little piece of dirt for a little nothing.
You see, you guys, right? You throw the suitcases on the thing. You see that Templeton says, like,
Oh Lord, look at that. Well, one of the wheels just seems to be.
you see, he sort of adjusts one of the wheels. There's sort of like these thin motor carriage wheels. He looks over and says,
Looks like one of the wheels is a little bit ajar. Might have hit something of a pothole on the way here.
you see, he looks over at Armand and says,
I'm sorry there, Mr. Armadillo. If you'd be so kind, could you just hold on to the axle here real quick?
you see, Armand says, well, I suppose I have to. He circles up around the back right wheel of the car, and Templeton says,
He's a perfect fit, all right. All aboard for Loam Hall.
Baxter, we gotta use Armand as a wheel more often.
Oh, Siri, he went from being the third wheel to the fourth and far more useful this way.
Shut up. You're too much.
you see, Templeton goes,
That's all right, good quit, mister. Fuck you armadillo, fuck you.
you see Armand goes, well, that's record-setting time for a brand new stranger to completely feel free to abuse me to my face. You guys load into the motor carriage. Templeton says, all aboard, welcome to Tufting Meadows, the ancestral home of the Brook Hollow family and Loam Hall. Motor carriage takes off. As the sun is setting, you begin to descend on Loam Hall. Two motor carriages converge on Loam Hall with a number of other motor carriages and indeed some people traveling on foot from the village. The rain begins to pick up. Fine-dressed guests, as well as a broad and vast staff of footmen and porters and maids, valet and butler, and all manner of people tending Loam Hall. As you arrive at Loam Hall, you see that this is an ancient red stone manor house. Old family dwelling place and old money built into the side of the hill. The door is set into the hillside facing a river, and the road comes up. The cars are able to park in a small white gravel sort of rotunda near an outdoor fountain. The fountain still going even under the rain, bubbling up. Various guests, you see that there are sort of, various footmen and other people that are coming in to help people up out of the rain. You guys see that a pug walks up wearing a bowler hat with a big umbrella. It says,
Hello there, friends. Welcome one and all to Loam Hall. May I accompany you and take your coats upon arriving at the entrance hall?
And he addresses Buckster and Daisy in this manner.
Why, thank you, good boy. What's your name?
Oh, well, you can call me Mr. Snout, sir. I'm one of the footmen here at Loam Hall. Milo Snout's the name.
Mr. Snout, we are grateful for your service. And I flick him a little American coin of some kind.
You flick him a sort of a shiny quarter, and he goes,
Well, do my ears deceive me, or I detect the distinctive brogue of an American, perhaps, if I may be so bold, a Texan?
That's a matter of fact correct, sir. That's a matter of fact correct. We are generous with our earnings. In America, we tend to bring a bit of that generosity here to Loam Hall. That's yours to keep. Hopefully you can use it, despite its heritage.
He says, well, as a foreign currency, I can assure you, sir, that I cannot spend this here. But
Then consider it a token of my appreciation, and merely a token.
he says, I certainly will, sir, right this way.
and you guys go up into the hall. Sylvester and Lars, both of you arrive here as well. Park the motor carriage outside, you guys cross this sort of little wooden bridge to get over the river, pull up into the gravel area here. As you guys exit the car as well, you see that there's a lizard wearing a bowler hat as well, long sort of skink-looking lizard, who comes up with a big umbrella. He goes,
hello and welcome to Loam Hall. Pleasure. I'll be taking your hats and coats at the door, and please let me know if there's anything I can do for you.
I think Lars does like a really quick perimeter check, like he's used to doing, very like high intensity for the first like minute of every time we land somewhere. So I'm just like,
go ahead and give me a perception check.
Okay. Perception. Yeah, that's right, bitch. 23. I'm somehow so close to everyone's ear. No one knows how I got that close.
Absolutely awful, Allie.
Incredible.
Was that cute and fun?
Good show.
Was that cute? Was that cute and fun?
Incredible.
Yeah, 23 perception.
23 perception. You notice with 23 perception, looking around, yeah, busy. Lots of guests here are all arriving. There's a little banner up near the door. You see Squire Badger's son. Jeremy Brock Hollow is kind of welcoming people at the door and being very jolly and boisterous. In terms of threats, Katie, where do you think Gangie would be? Because obviously you need to be kind of on high alert because there's a lot of strangers here, and like Squire Badger would have told you, like, keep an eye out in general. Where do you think Gangie would be posted up as guests are arriving at the party?
I think I'm perhaps sitting on the fountain.
Cool.
Just chilling.
Awesome. One of the things you probably would be worried about is that the river in a heavy rainstorm can swell up sometimes. And there's like, as a groundskeeper, like you do have some groundskeeper tasks that you have to do from time to time. So I think, Lars, you clock Gangie Green by the fountain. You knew Gangie as a career criminal in London who vanished from the scene probably like less than a year ago, and see him with like garden dirt on his knees and gloves holding a shovel just parked here. And I think you probably see another staff member come over, say something to Gangie and like point up at the hall. So he's not like a fucking ghost haunting this place. Like someone goes and talks to him and then walks away from him. Gangie, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
12.
Cool. Lars, you are not noticed. You are not noticed by Gangie in this moment.
I catch myself from barking. Interesting. Did I say interesting?
As you head up the path towards the entrance hall,
I give the lizard a German franc.
So annoying.
Incredible.
Thank you so much for your hospitality. Here you are. This is from Germany.
A German franc?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Maybe?
Okay. Maybe. I think it's a mark. I think it's a Deutschmark.
Oh,
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
of course.
I thought you were making a joke. It's like doubly useless. It's not even real German currency.
This is some French currency from Germany. Yeah. But you see, he goes.
Let's go with that. I give him a German franc.
He goes.
No.
Thank you very much for this highly illegal counterfeit currency. You see, you guys head up. As you are walking up together, Basil collects also under his umbrella another figure walking up the path in a place where I think Sylvester doesn't have many friends here. And Vicar Ian certainly doesn't have many friends here. The two of you look and see each other approaching the manor at the same time, walking up the garden path together.
I say, if it isn't the most religious man in the country.
That would be
How
me.
are you, Vicar? It's a pleasure.
I'm doing well. I'm doing just fine, apart from all of the strange wickedness going on. I'm doing the Lord's work. This is where the Lord would have me to go, and where I should go to minister and speak, and to speak truth to the powerful.
Well, if the Lord's brought you here, I dare say it's his friend down below who's brought me.
Oh, don't speak of such
Forgive me,
things.
forgive me, forgive me. Yes, I understand.
No, it's not a joke, not a joke.
I say it in jest. I don't honestly believe that. I don't mean to offend in any way.
No, not a joke, not a joke. Okay, but that's okay. That's all right. I can be cool. I can be cool.
As you guys walk in the front door of the entrance hall, you guys enter the first wing. You see a beautiful staircase going up into the upper stories, a hall leading back towards the kitchens. To your right, this beautiful ballroom. To the left, the drawing room. Bubbly conversation, servants coming out with glasses of champagne. You see people sort of gather around. As you say the sort of wicked goings on, you hear a voice. First of all, you're both greeted as you enter by Squire Badger's son, Jeremy Brockhollow, who looks and says, "Oh, Vicar, pleasure to have you back here as well. And I see Mr. Cross. Pleasure, pleasure. Welcome once again to Loam Hall. Thank you for coming."
The pleasure is mine, dear boy.
You see, he
Absolutely.
smiles and nods, and you hear a voice to the side say, "Wicked goings on! Is that what we are discussing?" You see a very tall, a tall and stately elderly woman, Lucretia Brockhollow, the sister of the squire, who is an aging and unmarried sort of, high society woman, a socialite, who comes over to you. Like her brother, she is a very tall and imposing figure, and everything about her fashion is just doubling down on taking up space, huge fur shawl, she is someone who the first time she overheard that someone had gossiped about her and called her an eccentric, the only thing she ever talked about from that moment forward was, "Well, people are calling me an eccentric these days." She comes over and goes, "Wicked things afoot, and I shouldn't wonder. If you watch the stars, dear boy, you will know that this is the return of the exact constellatory pattern that was in the sky when Ignatius Cottonbottom cursed the country of England by opening that sarcophagus. That very moment put a dark spell over the land, and the stars have returned to their pattern. The curse returns. I shouldn't wonder that there are wicked goings on all over the countryside. Spirits afoot,
Can I do an insight check
while
to see if I can tell what her astrological sign is?
Do it. Give me an insight check.
I knew Lars was gonna love this.
Sure.
Ooh, that's a 23.
Wow, you're gonna nail it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
You're gonna get the hour.
I'm going to actually look this up. And I'm going to roll it on a d12. Here we go. That's a 2. The second one on this list I found. Your insight tells you that this woman is a Leo.
I absorb that info and I just go, oh, such a Leo.
She says, do I have a fellow student of the stars here as well?
I lick her face.
You see, by the way, what is Lars's sign?
Oh, Lars is let's make Lars a Cancer.
She looks and says, well, a fellow student of the stars, and a cheeky one at that. I can tell, of course, Sergeant, that you are yourself a Gemini.
You were so close. Oh my gosh, you were freakishly close.
Don't tell me. Sagittarius.
Oh my gosh, you're a bit farther and it makes it more fun. You'll get so
No. Those were both jokes. Scorpio.
No.
Vicar, if this is over by tomorrow, you and I will be quite lucky.
She says, Sergeant, I understand. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you yourself were a student of these occult matters. Tell me, my dear Sergeant, have you ever attended a seance?
Never have I ever, but I have always wanted to. But I'm here on work.
Oh.
But if
My
there
dear-
was a seance, maybe I could go to it.
My dear
look at-
friend, let me assure you, I am a medium in such manners. You are positively surrounded by spirits. And I'm not just saying that to always be in control of the conversation. Come with me at once. And you see, she whisks you off down the hall.
I bound down the hall after her. I'm so excited.
Interesting. I'd have called her a bit of a lard.
What?
Because a medium.
You see, Sylvester, you see that one of the like serving staff walking by just sort of goes, ooh, under his breath and walks off down the hall.
And I give him a little shoulder wiggle to acknowledge it.
Flirty.
That's right.
As the party begins in earnest, where does everyone think they are? Like, the three main areas, there's a dining room, where people are sort of having quieter, more personal conversations. There are a lot of people sitting down in the drawing room with drinks near a nice sort of open fire. And then there's also the grand ballroom that has some people sort of staying there, has some like tables set out and other things like that that are sort of there temporarily, that have some like places to write well wishes, like a guest book. Which of those sort of three areas do people find themselves drawn to as the party is just beginning and people are sort of saying their hellos?
I believe Sylvester is in the ballroom so that he doesn't have to sit and settle in anywhere, because while he's at the party, he doesn't want to get trapped in any conversations with Squire Badger. So he's standing and staying mobile. So he's in the ballroom.
He's in the ballroom. Perfect. And Lars, where are you?
I'm talking to my new favorite person, but I do also have an eye on where Sylvester is.
Copy that. Yeah, you're talking to Lucretia, who is in love with you. And where are Daisy and or Buckster?
I feel like we're trying to have little quiet conversations. I feel like we're not somewhere super public, but we want a couple people milling about to like scoop some info, maybe even plant some seeds for a nefarious caper.
Yeah, maybe it's like we keep like shooting kind of like eyes across the room at each other to see like who's meeting who.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to like shake hands with as many people as possible
Let me ask you, is Catherine McCabbage here? Like, as part of like, your husband died, you're allowed to come to this party, or is she not here?
Catherine McCabbage is not here.
Okay, great.
But go ahead and roll an investigation check for me.
That would be a 17.
You see the son and daughter of the yet-to-make-an-appearance squire having a whispered conversation. I'm gonna say 17 is not high enough to automatically get this, but it's high enough that I will let you make a DC 20 perception check to see if you can hear what they're saying.
Okay, cool. Perception. 19.
One short, I am afraid.
Is it possible that I, catching Daisy's eyes across the room, would she have indicated this conversation to me, and can I make the same go?
Not only that, Sam, but you're also a mastermind rogue, which gives you the unique ability in D&D to give the help action as a bonus action at a 30-foot range. So not only can you make this same check, you can actually allow Daisy to make the roll with advantage.
I will do the latter. I'll allow Daisy the advantage.
So I roll which thing?
Roll that perception check again.
Okay, great. With advantage?
You already rolled once, so just roll a second time. If it's higher, you'll beat it.
Terrific, 15.
So now
Sam, you can still roll.
to do the first thing.
Yes. So now go ahead, Sam, and give me a perception check.
Perception check. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's gonna be a little 25.
Woo! So, Daisy, you catch by the stairwell Jeremy and his sister, Constance Brockhollow, having a brief conversation. You are, I think, pinned down in a conversation. Who do you think Daisy would have struck up a conversation with here at the party?
If there's somebody like vulnerable looking, or like either an older person or a very young or sad person.
I'll let you talk either to the oldest person here or what you think is the most vulnerable person here.
I'll talk to the oldest person.
Cool. You are talking to a woman. You are talking to the lady Eugenia Bristlebrush, who is an old widow squirrel. Monocle, floral bag, and she wears a full top hat with like an acorn pattern on it.
Oh.
You see, she looks up at you, so you can't get away. She's done that old woman thing of squeezing your arm in a way that is so strong. You see, she goes,
ostentatious nonsense here at Loam Hall. Absolute fiddle-faddle. That
Squire Brockhollow. The eye contact happens as you, it's like,
she says, all these badgers, these Brockhollows, arrogant, selfish. I'll tell you this. If I could, I would murder everyone here. I would murder all of them. I hate all these people, and I'm not even joking. I'm being serious. Everyone here is terrible, including myself.
And you see that.
Including myself. Blah, blah, blah.
This food
We all
is
wake up dead
ghastly.
tomorrow. We know who to blame.
Yeah. This food is ghastly. It's hot and cold in this room at the same time. You see that so with that 25 perception, Buckster overhears this conversation of Constance looking out and saying, Jace, I'm beginning to be worried. Catherine still hasn't shown up. Where is Mrs. McCabbage? And you see, Jace says, oh, Constance, I'm sorry, I've absolutely buffed it. We did get an RSVP back today. She declined coming. And you see, Constance says, she declined? No. Jeremy, the signal that sends about father, it paints us in a light like people will assume that we haven't invited the widow of the man who died. And you see, go ahead, Sam, and make some insight checks for me.
Oh, I love it. Ooh, that's a 14.
14, not great. So they're being guarded because they know they're in public. On a 14, all you get is the basics of who these people are. You know that the eldest of the two by a couple years is Constance, who is a very spirited, modern, progressive young woman. And her younger brother, Jeremy Brockhollow, who's called Jez for short, he is sort of a perpetual, playboy's not quite the right word, but like a life of leisure, dilettante, kind of spending daddy's money kind of guy. You also see next to them by the stairwell, kind of like helping create a perimeter around them, are both of their husbands. So you see that Constance's husband, Dr. Magpie, is there, who's a London doctor. And you also see Mr. Osmond Sheffield, who is Jeremy's husband, who is a very successful barrister in London, and also kind of that like, some say being groomed for Parliament.
What?
But they're both doing that sort of awkward husband thing of like, we are brothers-in-law and it's our spouses that are the siblings. So we're like, so how are things going with you? You know, like, it's kind of like, good, things are good.
By the way I'm remembering everybody is just by like mapping them over Downton Abbey characters in my
Not a bad call.
I wouldn't be able to like approach the husbands, would I?
Absolutely you would. They're just kind of dicking around. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I could sort of like use a kind of a charisma play to approach them and try to like get a little bit more information out of them with what I've just heard from the younger siblings.
Yes.
So I think I sort of waddle on up to them, a little piece of food in my hand from the dining room, and I say,
Ooh, I just heard Catherine couldn't make it. That is a shame. It would have been good for PR.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check for me.
that is a 24.
Now go ahead and make a deception check for me.
That's a 12.
Okay, I'm gonna make some rolls really quickly. You see Dr. Magpie looks up at you. Dr. Magpie, even though he is a doctor, has the perennial look of a man who grew up poor, being in a wealthy manor house. Even though he's married to an extremely wealthy woman, he is, you know, like, he forces his body into the shape of an apology to be in this nice home. Just going like, oh, terrible news, isn't it? Yes, it's dreadful that Catherine couldn't be here. But, you know, I imagine there's a great deal of pain and sorrow, so I don't imagine that she would be in the mood for a celebration, certainly.
Oh, it's entirely understandable, entirely understandable. We feel for her and the rest of her family.
You see that the other, Osmond, who is a ram, by the way, walks over, looks at you, Buxter, and says, I am very sorry, I don't believe we are acquainted. To whom do we have the pleasure, sir?
My apologies. Buxter Boyd, at your service, Buxter $Boyd. I am a business partner of the great Squire Badgers from these United States across the pond.
You see that Dr. Magpie raises his eyes and says, well, I knew the Squire's reach was quite far, but to think it extends all the way to America, I didn't know that the Squire's business interests raised that far. You'll have to forgive me, sir, but this is my first time coming across a genuine Yankee.
Well, I am happy to be your exposure to the West. Yes, the Squire's business interests extend all the way out to us, all the way over and down to us, down into the oil fields.
You see that Dr. Magpie goes, you work in oil. Well, that's quite a lucrative line of work, I should imagine, especially given the throng of industry, which I understand in the United States is perhaps even more gregarious than it is here. You see that
Gregarious is one word for it.
Mr. Sheffield looks and says, if I might ask, Mr. Boyd, is your full last name $Boyd?
Oh, $sign is the middle name. It's actually, it's Cash, or Cassius, it's just how I spell it.
Ah, very well. Well, I meant to ask you, where did you come by the rumor that Mrs. McCabbage would not be attending this evening?
Oh, well, I just assumed. I mean, she's nowhere to be seen.
As you say that, you see that Constance actually steps away from her conversation with her brother and walks right up to you, Buckster, to say hello. You have never actually met Constance before in person because she moved out of Loam Hall a long time ago. She walks up and says, do I have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Boyd?
Indeed. It's, and Constance, am I correct?
Yes, pleasure. And you see she goes in for a handshake and says, welcome. Thank you so much for making the long and arduous trip all the way from Texas. I understand that you have offices across the state, but you yourself live in Dallas? Is that correct?
That's correct. Dallas, Texas. I have genealogy that dates back here. My father was in fact a Brit like you, and so he made his way across the pond. Here I am making my way back.
You see that her brother steps in and says, well, hello there, Mr. Boyd. It's funny you mention. Please, Jez, by the way. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Jez, it's a pleasure.
He sort of smiles and says, oh, Father told us stories about growing up alongside your father, Borwell Boyd. A legendary sort. But it's wonderful to once again have a Boyd walking the stones of Loam Hall. Welcome. Can I get you a drink, my good man? You look a little bit unrefreshed.
Oh, please, by all means. I will engulf literally whatever you put in my hand.
He says, well, I've heard of the American Constitution, but let's see it in action. And you see he sort of jabs Osmond's chest. Go ahead and give me an insight check.
American, pig, one and the same.
Insight 14.
You see that he sort of jabs Osmond in the chest a little bit and says, am I to understand, Mr. Boyd, that you would like a glass of wine, or would you go in for a little bit of the stronger stuff? You see Constance says, Jeremy, the party is only just beginning.
And if it's beginning, we best get into it then. Give me the hardest stuff you got.
Oh, you see, he looks and raises an eyebrow and says, a little bit of Irish poachine happens to be sitting downstairs, courtesy of a friend of mine who engages in that sort of illicit stuff. Should be a high enough proof to satisfy even your robust taste, Mr. Boyd. You see,
well, I have friends in Ireland, and they are all liquors.
you see, he goes, a wit! And you see he slaps you on the shoulder. Even with a 14 insight, you're like, immediately, Jeremy is completely enamored of you. You're like, this kid is the lightest touch. He's in love. For other friends, so Lars is in conversation. In the ballroom is Sylvester. Also, where are Gangie and Ian at this point? So Gangie, what are you up to at the party at this point?
I think Gangie is not welcome inside, being the groundskeeper, so he is looking through the window trying to get Buckster's attention.
Buckster, you see a grim-faced weasel staring in through the door windows. And Ian, where are you as the party is sort of beginning?
Oh, Father, forgive me. The last round of confessions, I forgot to give out the penance. So I think Ian is going around giving out everybody the penance that he forgot. 3 Hail Marys, 3 Hail Marys, fast for a week. You.
I forgot to tell you should be fasting for a week.
You go over, you come across the Lord and Lady Bramble. Lord Eustace Bramble is a very vicious cow, and his wife, the Lady Winifred, is a hedgehog. You see, she looks up as you come over with the penance, with sort of, the communion. Lord Bramble says, "My goodness, does this, forgive me if this is blasphemous, does this actually, I don't know, count? Does this count?"
Oh, of course, God is everywhere and he's in me. You feel him, don't you? You feel him, sure you do. So yes, this absolutely counts.
You see, he eats it. The Lady Winifred says, "Oh, Vicar, thank you so much for coming and giving a penance. I was so worried I didn't want to say anything at the last Mass. You know, I must tell you, I've been praying and praying every day ever since poor Mr. McCabbage died, and I've been thinking of you all the time. I'm so glad that Tufting Meadows has such a spiritual man in these trying times. Vicar, what should women of good conscience and of piety be doing in this troubled time to invite a miracle for these lands besotted by licentious and ungodly people?"
Take the lead. Take charge. More action. Don't stand behind any more of these people that have been running us into the ground and turning us to wickedness that you know is wrong.
Oh, the wisdom of God's own mercy from your lips. I shall pray every day for someone to take action. I shall pray and pray. You are so wise, Vicar. I shall set myself to prayer all night and day to pray that someone do something somewhere.
No, you misunderstand me.
I understand you perfectly. You have made it crystal clear.
You.
Very well. I shall get started right away. Now, you see that she goes over. Lord Bramble looks over and says, "As always, Vicar, you will let me know if there are any donations that can be made in a prayerful way.
In a prayerful way?
Yes, I'm happy to tithe some fraction of my estate to make sure that it is known that the Brambles are in good standing with the church."
Literally anything that you could do would help, especially anything in the 100 to 250, what is this, pounds?
Pounds, yeah.
250 pound range
You see,
would be fantastic.
You see, he says, "Very well, here is my prayer, Father." And he just thumbs with his hoof 250 pounds and stuffs it into the rope belt of your robes. Says, "Go with God, Father." And walks off. You guys hear a little ding, 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 ding. And a very smartly dressed rat in black butler's black butler suit walks in. This is Mr. Guilfoyle, the butler. Walks in and says, "Ahem, one and all guests of the Right Honourable Squire William Thornwall Brock Hollow of Loam Hall. The Squire wishes to commence the festivities. Please adjourn yourself to the banquet hall, if you would be so kind." And just as you turn to the grand ballroom that they're going to be doing some of the festivities in, you guys walk off together. as you were all heading there, Lucretia grabs Lars and is like, "Oh, dear boy, this way. My brother is going to make a little bit of a speech." And you see that Lady Eugenia looks at you and says,
Oh, that blasted old badger is going to talk our ears off something terrible. I hate that old man. I hate him. I hate everyone. I hate everyone. He drives me absolutely up the tree.
But grabs your arm and walks along with you. Right before this happens, Sylvester, you're kind of off in the ballroom waiting for things to happen. And because it's a little bit sparsely attended in here, you actually see the squire enter to go up to his place on the dais, but looks up across the room and makes eye contact with you. He goes,
Very well, Sylvester Cross.
At your service as always.
Yes, I imagine this will be the conclusion of this round of services, Mr. Cross. I trust your journey from London was without impediment or obstacle.
No impediments as always, Squire. The road from London has been paved with good intentions.
You walk up to him.
As another famous road has been. Huh?
Cool. You light your pipe, and you see that he sort of smiles and says,
Well, Mr. Cross,
and by the way, you do have that money from the bank in your pocket.
Yes, but I'm going to wait to give it to him until I can really stick it to him.
Gotcha.
Really make him feel like an asshole.
So you see, he gets up on the dais. The whole crowd of people begins to come in. The last thing I'll say is that Gangie was at the window for Buckster. Buckster, people start filing into the room. Do you want to take a second to talk to Gangie now, or do you want to file into the room with everybody?
If I can, I'll take a second to talk to Gangie now.
Cool. You step outside and are on the threshold with the open door. It is now pouring rain outside.
Mr. Green, what's the word? What's the news? What's the has-haps?
I'm not saying nothing without my money.
That sounds about right. Very on brand for you, Gangie. Okay, fine.
It's not gangly.
Here's yours. Can I?
Yeah.
Do I have on my person whatever sum I own?
Yes,
I owe Gangie?
absolutely. For you're fabulously wealthy enough that there is not a sum of money that is hard for you to produce. So you
Cool.
produce.
I haphazardly hand Gangie like 50% more than he actually earned. Consider it a tip.
So, Gangie, you look at this big bunch of money in your paws. You have the names of the collections you've been acquiring recently in your pocket, including the name of the person you went and collected literally last night. This is probably the juiciest dirt you have. Grave robbing is an incredibly lucrative black market trade in England. Medical schools everywhere need cadavers, and there is no legal way to acquire them. But you have a list of names that you have gotten on behalf. And here I will reveal a list of names of the bodies you've gotten in direct order from someone in Loam Hall who at least says they are giving you these orders directly from the squire himself. So you are given the sum of money. It is up to you whether you want to give the actual names to Buckster at this moment or not.
Yes.
Cool. Buckster, you get a short list of robbed graves, which, given what you are here to do, is worth its weight in gold.
I do appreciate this. Gangie, you have more than earned your share today. More than earned your share.
You see, as you're at the door, Gangie, you see that Mrs. Molesley comes by, who's this ancient, she is the housekeeper and the head of the maid staff. Huge Coke bottle glasses, little gray bun of hair and a maid's outfit. She comes over and says, "Oh dear, Gangie, I know you're dirty, love, but it's pouring cats and dogs outside, it is. Mrs. Banks has a cup of tea on in the kitchen. Come inside the house just this once. You catch your death of cold out here. You get the pneumonia. Please, come in."
Thank you.
She squeezes your arm. Even though Gangie is a scary guy, Mrs. Molesley has only ever been the sweetest in the world to you. She comes in and says, "Get yourself a spot of tea, love, and there's a few scones left with some clotted cream, and I've kept them to the side for you, lovey."
Thanks.
So Gangie, you head off into the other staff, kind of nod to you as you come in. Squire Badger stands up on the dais, says,
"Friends one and all of Loam Hall, you have committed the rather inadvisable act of attending the 60th birthday celebration of a known bore, and a rather dull one at that." And you see there's a sort of polite... he nods and says, "A dark shadow hangs over Tufting Meadows with the sad demise this last summer of one of my very own employees, the beloved Connor McCabbage, and to all of our working folk here in Tufting Meadows, we wish well, and in these trying times we have taken every measure, including the hiring of Sylvester Cross, who, though he was not able to find any foul play, did his due diligence." You see Mr. Lawrence Longfoot, who is a hare, look out in a newspaper magnate who kind of looks over at you being here and says, "But working with Mr. Cross and Scotland Yard, though the case may be closed, our hearts never are, which is why I am happy to say that the Brock Hollow estate will be gifting a sum in excess of £150,000 to the Anglican Church, and specifically to Our Lady of Prayerful Paws." And here, this enormous sum of money goes up. And you see that Constance stands up and says, "Father, you must read the thank you from the Cardinal." And he says, No, there will be no praise for me. It is too small a sum, if any. Please, Constance, put it away. You see that he looks out and says, "So we are here to celebrate instead the coming of a new day where good works may be done in the parish, and all of our proud subjects of the crown kept safe. Please drink, eat, and be merry, and enormous thanks to the Vicar Ian Prescott for blessing us with his presence here at Loam Hall."
Yes, and if I may, while everyone, while we have your attention here, I would just like to say, though I never guarantee results in my cases, here in front of all of you and you from the press, I should like to offer my fee back to the squire. I was not able to produce results, and so to you I say, this call is social, not business. Your fee, sir.
You hand it back. Give me a persuasion check with advantage, Mr. Cross. Because you're literally putting your money where your mouth is.
17.
17. A round of applause goes up, Sylvester.
Can I make
Thank you, yes, thank you, I know.
Can I make an intimidate check as I walk the money from Sylvester to him? to add to that persuasion?
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, let's do this as a help action. So,
okay, cool.
although no, you already have advantage, you can't get double advantage. But yeah, go ahead and give me an intimidate check, Lars.
Okay, that is just an 11.
Cool. You strut.
I trip.
Squire Badger is an old military soul. He doesn't get rattled very easily. But you see, he takes it, and you see that that 17 is high, Sylvester, but it's not high enough for Squire Badger. You look over and see Lawrence Longfoot, that newspaper magnate, raise a glass to you, and Squire Badger glares at you from the dais as you return your fee. What I would like is this now, actually. Everyone here give me a perception check. Let me know if you roll above a 15.
Hot damn.
No, only a 13.
14.
23.
Woo! 23.
13.
13 from Sylvester, cool. So you notice something, Buckster. You see that Lawrence Longfoot takes out a camera with a bulb, and instead of taking the thing of Squire Badger's emoluments, Squire Badger's not a celebrity, so he takes a photo with Sylvester in the foreground, like raising his glass, and Squire Badger in the background. Also, you beat a 20, so you also see, boom, the glass shatters. There is a moment of dark. In that moment of dark, you see that Mr. Guilfoyle, the butler, is just kind of like gone after that flash of light. And you also see there's, like the light, there's a huge hooray! As Lawrence Longfoot says that, you think you see maybe a shape through the windows out in the rain, but you see that no one else notices. The reason no one else notices this is that as the light goes off, Mrs. Molesley the mole, the light goes off and she, like it's just like bright light to a mole, like drops a tray. You see her head, it's like you can almost see like things going over her head. And you see that this beautiful Lady Calliope, who is this beautiful deer, you see that she has a beautiful gown, like patron of the arts, stately pair of antlers coming off of her head. Leans down and says, "Oh, my dear madam, please do stand," and lifts up Mrs. Molesley, who like is still out of it. And I'll tell you this, Grant, 13 is not high enough to notice all the stuff Buckster just noticed, but it is high enough for you to look out as someone says, 3 cheers for the absolute class of the hunter of Hampstead Street, Sylvester Cross. And you see, hip, hip, hooray! As the 3 cheers go up, you look over across a crowded room and see Daisy dump stare. Hey, Reka, is Daisy joining in the 3 cheers?
Absolutely not. She's got her arms crossed and she's sipping her own cocktail and she doesn't cheer. She downs it.
Sylvester, Daisy.
And then Sylvester downs his cocktail.
Downing a cocktail too, I'll have you know. There's ice and crap in there.
The straw, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we downing everything? I just start chugging my beers.
Germans.
You both down your cocktails. Make eye contact. Who is the first to break eye contact, if anyone, in this moment?
I think I do. I think I break eye contact and leave.
It's not me. It's not
I
me.
leave the room, yeah.
You leave the room.
Oh.
Brutal.
Sylvester, you are whisked away, way, way back, many years ago. This is October 4th, 1905. We return all the way to 1893, to a younger,
Chills you.
to a younger happier Sylvester on the day he met Daisy Dumpstare. And that's all for this episode of Mice and Murder.
Oh no! Oh no! He's so sad.
I know all about it.
It's ending with him so sad.
I invite you to a locomotive 12 years prior to a as yet uninjured 43-year-old Sylvester Cross. You look over and see a snarling jackal. This is the man you've been following. He tucks a stolen diadem into his coat. Daisy has just found her mark.
What do you want, lady? What do I know you?
You're about to.
My match strikes.
Something has thrown Daisy off her game here.
I think I'm in the presence of a hottie, and I don't think she knows what to do.
This hot and heavy tension that's caught in this moment is only interrupted by the noise of blam down the hallway as the door to Daisy's room is kicked in and a gunshot goes off. Boom. Both of you are slick enough to know exactly whose room that was.